Hi guys, it's been a while since I've been on camera, but I wanted for tonight's episode to be a little more intimate. When I first started Tales of the Lost, I really had no idea what would come of the series. I think these cinematic explorations that I do is probably the most fun I've had in terms of video creation on the YouTube platform. And yes, that's despite all of the different creative challenges and how time-consuming the whole research process can be. It's rewarding in some ways, especially when the lost stuff is found. More specifically, with the whole Renaissance Atlantic chapters of these videos, that's been a long, unwinding adventure. I initially went into this investigation into Frank Ward because of Saban Moon or Sailor Moon, but it's just like become its own beast at this point, and the whole like rabbit hole into Renaissance Atlantic and me learning about all of these different anime adaptations besides Sailor Moon is something that I could not have expected would have come from just investigating Sailor Moon. And yeah, I know some of these things that have been found are straight up goofy or completely far removed from their source material, but I don't want people to watch these videos thinking that the point is to like cringe over the anime that could have been in North America. Renaissance Atlantic's efforts to Americanizing anime, at the core of it, it's because they actually really loved anime and wanted to see it succeed in the West. So you might look at these pilot pitches and at first think, oh, like this looks so sloppy, this looks poorly done. But what I've learned from spending over a year of researching about the back end of production and how these shows are sold, a proof of concept is literally just a rough idea. And that's obviously going to pale in comparison to what a published final copy would look like with a lot more money behind that. People have to remember that when they're watching the found material. And at the time, Renaissance Atlantic were desperate. They had zero funding. They just set out to sell their ideas in a desperate attempt at convincing execs that anime could be profitable. It was not their fault. So for me, it's just really hard to judge these works as harshly as I see other people do online, because I know at the core of it, they were given peanuts to make magic happen. And whatever did come of it was not obviously going to be the intended final product because, as I said before, they had no funding. It's up to the executives to be like, I think we're gonna take a chance on that, you know? So I hope going forward, like if anything, I would advise to watch the works with kinder eyes once you realize the whole back history behind how these things were made. You can watch these pilots and just judge them based on those facts and not just, oh, cringe content, you know? I don't know, I guess like the comments where, because they have gotten good comments, but I guess the ones where people are just like retching and like sheer disgust, it can be a little much. And it just makes me realize that a lot of people are unaware of how pilots are made and that most proof of concepts aren't even made with the intention of them being shown to the public. So be kind. But anyways, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to thank everybody who's made this possible. Just from your comments, your likes, the patrons, the people that are members, thank you so much. Lastly, before we get to the video, I'd ask that if you like what I'm doing, please support me in any way that you'd like, whether it be subscribing to the channel, becoming a channel member, or even pledging on Patreon. I really think I could hit 100K this year. I am just so close. And with more follows and support, the more I'll be able to create videos just like this. So, with all of that out of the way, thank you so much for watching, and please enjoy tonight's episode.
In the vibrant cultural landscape of the mid-1990s, a wave of Japanese media swept into the United States, riding off of the groundbreaking success of the recent American-adapted Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. This cultural phenomenon opened the doors for more Japanese content to further captivate American audiences. After the Golden Gates had opened for countless anime to be passed through for potential dubs and spin-offs, Frank Ward, former president of Bandai America, recognized the potential for the 1986 Saint Seiya anime to shine even brighter in the US market. Unfortunately, at the time, unexpected hurdles loomed large. Copyright complexities and the series' intense themes made it a tough sell to toy markets and TV executives. Determined to expand the franchise's reach and boost action figure sales, Bandai America embarked on a bold venture, crafting a 15-minute live-action pilot for a reimagined Saint Seiya, bringing us to the year of 1994, the year this proposed live-action had been produced. The series was renamed from Saint Seiya to Starstorm. This live-action take on the iconic anime introduced its own set of bizarre alterations. Despite these creative shifts, the pilot failed to win over Saint Seiya creator Masami Kurumada, who felt the essence of the series had been diluted, veering closer to Ninja Turtles territory than actually honoring the original source material. The project's demise stemmed from Bandai's struggle to capture Kurumada's vision in a satisfactory manner. Despite this initial failed attempt to bring the series to the United States, Saint Seiya eventually made its way to American audiences in 2003 through DiC Animation, airing under the new title, Knights of the Zodiac. 2 more English dubs, which attempted to better capture the source material, were later produced by Sentai Filmworks and ADV Films. Over the years, the closest thing we've seen to a live-action interpretation of the series was the recent Hollywood film adaptation, which aired in 2023 called Saint Seiya Knights of the Zodiac. Since 1994, the full Starstorm pilot had only been viewed by Masami Kurumada and Frank Ward and his team at Bandai, who had presented the pilot to him on that fateful day. Years later, miraculously, a 20-second trailer was leaked online as part of a compilation piece for Renaissance Atlantic's company portfolio. Grabbing the immediate attention of Saint Seiya fans everywhere, news of a rumored pilot spread like wildfire, soon becoming a tantalizing enigma to the Saint Seiya community, eager to one day uncover the pilot in all its glory. Since its discovery, numerous attempts have been made to locate this piece of lost media, including an investigation conducted last year by yours truly. In my 2-part documentary on my findings, titled The Secret Story of Saint Seiya, I set out to discover the pilot in its entirety, and while I didn't manage to uncover the full pilot episode, I was lucky enough to ascertain the identities of a few actors who appeared in the pilot episode. However, just when I thought my search had reached a halt, I wound up stumbling on an entirely different Saint Seiya adaptation that predated the creation of the elusive Starstorm concept in a strange and serendipitous sequence of events. As luck would have it, what I discovered was a fully animated American retelling of the original Saint Seiya anime, an earlier spin-off that had been pitched to Kurumada by Renaissance Atlantic, animated by Fred Wolf Films, known as Guardians of the Cosmos. This was supposedly the company's first attempt at modifying the franchise for a North American audience. Baffled by my new discovery, and in hot pursuit of new answers, I made a last-ditch attempt at reaching out to former Renaissance Atlantic CEO Frank Ward in the hopes that our sit-down could potentially reveal new insights on not only Starstorm and Guardians of the Cosmos, but any other hidden treasures that were lying dormant in the Library of Congress. Our enlightening conversation revealed the company's mission to bridge cultural divides in a landscape resistant to Japanese anime. Frank's insights painted a picture of perseverance in the face of industry changes, striving to salvage a medium at risk of rejection by American networks. As our exchange concluded, I was pleasantly surprised when Frank graciously granted access to his Library of Congress submissions, promising this treasure trove of further discoveries into the lost world of early American anime adaptations. Excited to delve deeper into this compelling narrative, I once again embarked embarked on a journey to uncover the untold tales of Saint Seiya's American Odyssey, armed with newfound knowledge and a burning passion to illuminate the legacy of these forgotten adaptations. I wasted no time sending in my file request to the Library of Congress, but to my dismay, I very quickly learned that out of everything I had requested to receive copies of, sadly, 3 out of the 4 files I had requested regarding Starstorm had gone missing somewhere within the library archives, rendering them irretrievable for the time being. This was depressing news to say the least, but fortunately, I wasn't ready to give up. Despite this setback, they still had one remaining Starstorm entry that could be of great use to me in my hunt to find the pilot episode. Available in their archives was the infamous 20-second trailer that was crafted by Marlene Sharp and Salvador Lidvack that had been the smoking gun that first alerted fans to the pilot's existence. I was absolutely positive that if I requested a physical copy of the trailer, this media file would also come with an included description of contents, similar to what happened when I requested a copy of Guardians of the Cosmos. Gaining access to this single-page document, I had a high chance at revealing more secrets behind what had been planned for the series, and perhaps could include new names of people involved that would be worth investigating. And sure enough, I had been correct in my approach. After weeks of anxiously waiting, I received a package of all the materials requested from the Library of Congress, and in that large envelope containing a copy of the 20-second trailer, the long-awaited description of contents had been included. I had struck gold. Scanning the document, these were the details outlined in the summary of Starstorm.
A long time ago, Kronos ruled the world with his son Bellatrix and his daughter Karina. Bellatrix has returned to Earth because of mankind despoiling of the Earth. Bellatrix wishes to take away the Earth from mankind so that he can rule himself. His sister Karina wishes to give the humans another chance. Karina's bodyguard explains to 5 young adults why Karina is kidnapped by Claw, Bellatrix his henchman, and the 5 young adults search out Bellatrix's hideout in order to save Karina. The 5 young adults do in fact save Karina and tell Claw to tell Bellatrix that they will be watching.
Unsurprisingly, it seemed that Starstorm would have been vastly different from its source material. With those minor differences, the plot had read almost identical to that of the earlier Guardians of the Cosmos outline. In both adaptations, Karina and Nova, characters adapted from Sayori/Athena, called to the Knights to protect the humans of the Earth from the wrath of their brother, known as Bellatrix in Starstorm, and Apollo in Guardians of the Cosmos. Sayori/Athena's brother in both respective adaptations is hell-bent on destroying mankind for how they've polluted and degraded the Earth over the years. Upon comparing both descriptions, it had suddenly dawned on me that something was amiss. When I had taken out a copy of the pilot episode of Guardians of the Cosmos, the description of contents made sure to outline exactly what would be seen in its accompanying viewing material. That is, of course, why it's called a description of contents. Realizing this, I found it curious how different the Starstorm description was from the notorious 20-second trailer that had graced the web years ago. Instead of providing a literal description, it seemed to outline a completely different sequence of events. It seemed more like an overall summary. That's when the gears really started to turn, and I really started to pay attention. I then noticed that on that very sheet, the runtime for the clip was mislabeled. It said that the media I obtained that was labeled Starstorm Trailer had a runtime listed at approximately 7 minutes. Then, it hit me. I suddenly felt the weight of this new ordeal looming over me. If this was not the 20-second trailer it had been labeled as, what exactly did I now have in my possession? As I gazed at the CD-ROM, a deep anxiety had set within the depths of my soul. I initially thought the media file labeled Starstorm trailer was, in fact, the infamous 20-second trailer that had been featured in Renaissance Atlantic's showreel. But judging by the description of contents, I was perhaps holding on to something more valuable than I originally assumed. Without hesitation, I pried open the jewel case, popped the CD into my computer drive, and proceeded to witness something quite unexpected. And this is what I found.
Long before the now time, in the days of kings and legends, Atlantis was the center of all civilization. Bellatrix, son of Kronos, and his noble sister Karina ruled the world. Angry with what mankind has since done to the planet, Bellatrix and his armies have now returned with a vengeance. All freedom has been taken away and the human race enslaved. Because she opposed him, Bellatrix has even imprisoned Karina, his own sister. She remains today in his palace. You will free her.
But what could we possibly do?
But there's only 5 of us.
Excuse me, but with all due respect, sir, who are you?
I am Omnicron, advisor to the good Princess Karina. I am also your new instructor. It is no accident you are here. On the day of your births, you were chosen by Karina herself to one day fight by her side. For 18 years, you've trained for just this day. The day you too shall proudly wear the star armor. Look closely and learn. Others before you have been called to wear the star armor. The secret of its powers lies deep in the heavens, at the very core of the cosmos. The armor is indestructible, and only the bravest of the brave are chosen to wear it. Those who do are invincible. But the armor will do more than protect you. Once energized, through it will pass to you undreamed of powers, the power of the very stars themselves. And from this day forward, you shall wear the armor and possess the power of the star, whose name you shall bear, Centaurus, the burning red giant. Your power shall be known as the flames of Centaurus. Omega, glowing like the dragon's eye. Your power, the eyes of Omega. Electra, your enemies will fear the chains of Electra. Titan, the ice star. The rings of Titan shall your powers be. And Zenith, born of fire, your power shall be known as the light of Zenith. You 5 specially chosen young warriors and your adventures are destined to be known to all on Earth as the legend of Starstorm.
Zenith! Omega!
Centaurus, there! Man, here come the Imperial Guards.
You didn't think Bellatrix was just gonna let us walk in here and take her, did ya?
I'll try to swing around behind them. You guys watch my back.
Electra, be careful.
Hurry, there isn't much time!
Poor, foolish boys. It would be wise to stop where you are. I am Claw, guardian of the Palace of Bellatrix. Who dares enter here?
We've come for Karina. And you won't stop us, Claw.
Brave words, young warrior. But there have been others before you. They all failed. You too shall fail. You dare to challenge me? I fear only Bellatrix, destroyer of worlds! No one has ever faced me in return to tell the tale. Now you will know what real power is. No!
Karina!
No!
Nice shooting, Claw. Thanks for the help.
Titan, what are you doing? Forget about me, man!
We got to go now.
Claw's too powerful.
That ice won't hold for long.
Hurry, please! You can't imagine the horrible things he's capable of.
Now you are mine!
Claw! You tell Bellatrix his days are numbered. Tell him he will no longer rule this world unopposed. That people will no longer get down on their knees before him. You tell him that wherever he goes and whatever he does, we'll be waiting.
There it was this entire time. This discovery had my jaw down to the floor. This whole time, the full pilot had been mislabeled in the Library of Congress. I stood there, mystified. I had been investigating the lost Starstorm pilot for a little over a year. I spent so many nights trying to track down Renaissance Atlantic employees and any familiar names and faces of people closely associated with the project. My efforts even led me down the path of unearthing a previously unknown attempt at Americanizing the series. I hit so many surprises along the way, but never in a million years did I expect that what I had originally dismissed as the Starstorm trailer would actually turn out to be the entire pilot episode itself. So, how was it that this mix-up even occurred? How did this pilot get confused with the trailer? While I can't say for certain how something like this could have ever happened, with the vast backlog of Renaissance Atlantic material being crafted in the 90s, it wouldn't be all that surprising to assume that somewhere along the way, when submitting to the Library of Congress, something as small as a title error could have taken place. The video itself is also much shorter than what you would expect of a pilot that can usually run anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. So perhaps after seeing that approximation in time, it made it easier to assume it was nothing more than a trailer rather than a brief treatment. On top of this, the title screen not only notes that the video submission is a creditless treatment, which could account for more lost time, but also there is a huge chunk of the video at the end that is nothing but a black screen, giving it an actual runtime of 11 minutes and 30 seconds. And before you ask, this is not because of any lost footage, since the pilot has a clear beginning and end. The black space is a very common occurrence for copies of transferred tapes. This was the same case with the raw Guardians of the Cosmos footage that had significantly long black spaces placed in between the episode to account for commercial breaks. So perhaps, with all that time having gone by since viewing the pilot, maybe Kurumada recalling the runtime to be 15 minutes was more likely an error on his end, as I'm sure the pitch meeting and presentation portion of the pilot could have all just been meshed together in his mind. Now we all know this would not be a legitimate Tales of the Lost if I didn't go over my new findings, and fortunately, with this last bit of new information and a higher quality of video, I had all the tools necessary to try and unravel more details about the pilot's production, along with uncovering the remaining identities of the actors who portrayed the now visible characters present in the pilot concept. New production details. We now know the production details for the making of the Starstorm pilot based on what appears at the title card. The project had been completed on December 13th, 1994, and the team responsible for shooting the pilot was the California-based company More Gallerani and More Films. Browsing their website using the Wayback Machine, the company was shown to have a multitude of experience, primarily shooting toy commercials at the time, which probably worked in their favor when they were given the task of shooting the pilot episode. In the title card, we can also see that an Andrew Gallerini was credited as director, with Melody Woods as producer and Margot Ott as head of production. As far as I know, all of the people involved in producing Starstorm still work at More Gallerini and More Films to this day. The company now goes under the name Rubble Robot, with a new official website last updated fairly recently. The setting. We learn in the first few seconds of the pilot that our story takes place in a New York or Washington-looking area called Harbor City and is set in the year of 2012. It's to be assumed that, rather than being drafted from different parts of the world like in Saint Seiya, in this iteration, our heroes all seem to be Harbor City natives and are summoned by Omnicron, aka Tatsumi, to go off and save the princess elsewhere. It should also be noted that rather than the home of the gods being in the sanctuary of ancient Greece, the Starstorm universe places Karina, Bellatrix, Kronos, and the other gods all in the fictional city of Atlantis. Identifiable actors. Lastly, with a now higher quality video, I was finally able to do more thorough digging into the cast to better match up the actors. From my previous investigations, I was able to identify a small handful of actors that portrayed the cast. I found out that Shun, now known as Elektra in the Starstorm adaptation, was portrayed by American actress Krista Sauls. Iki, now called Zenith, was played by actor Gabriel Corbin, along with Shiryu, now known as Omega, who can be seen played by actor Eddie Mui. With new faces present, an updated search just had to be done, and curiously, while sorting through these images, I came across a very surprising find. I was shocked to discover that the character Centaurus, who is the live-action counterpart to Seiya from the anime, was actually portrayed by two different actors in the pilot episode. For the majority of the pilot, meaning in the battle scenes and the scene with Omnicron, Seiya is played by adult film actor Jared Carey. It is only in the flashback sequence at Atlantis during the beginning of the pilot that we see the Centaurus armor being worn by ex-bodybuilder and adult film actor Alton Butler. According to the words of Omnicron, he states that many men before them have worn this armor. This would imply that the powers of each knight had been passed down, with Jared Carey's character now acting as the new Centaurus. The next actor I managed to identify was the actress playing Karina, aka Sayori or Athena. In Starstorm, she was portrayed by the young Suzanne Davis, who appeared in a number of shows in the early 90s and, more notably, for those who can recall, later went on to appear in the cancelled 1996 television film Generation X, which was the first live-action pitch of an X-Men series as the mutant called Buff. Aside from these three new actors, I had some difficulties pinning down the remaining identities of Titan, Omnicron, and Claw. Titan, the counterpart for Hyoga, was a fit blonde with a strong jaw and soft eyes, and stood out to me for having a remarkably familiar face. Meanwhile, Bellatrix's henchman Claw, who I believe to be an interpretation of the character Cancer Death Mask, I found shared some facial similarities to a young Sylvester Stallone, though it's definitely not him. Unfortunately, he also wound up turning up no results. That just left me with the actor for Omnicron, the American reimagining of Sayori's bodyguard and butler, Tokumaru Tatsumi, appearing in this adaptation as more of a mysterious and cloaked figure. The only result that had come up when I performed a reverse image search was this picture right here. All searches on him kept leading me back to some music award show photograph spotlighting the group Destiny's Child, but standing in the background was a man who shared similar features with the man in the pilot episode, specifically his eyes, nose, and ears. Every website that hosted this image made no mention of this man in the background, but surely he might have had some involvement in the music industry. There's no way to know for certain that it's him. So as a bizarre open letter to Beyonce or Destiny's Child or anyone who has better knowledge of 90s R&B figures than myself, if you know who this man is, please give me a call. When American computer scientist Eliezer Yudkowsky said, "The obvious choice isn't always the best choice, but sometimes it is," he was definitely onto something. If I hadn't ventured into this long, unwinding rabbit hole of the past anime adaptations of Renaissance Atlantic, two of our biggest lost media mysteries in the anime community would have been close to being lost to time. On top of that, in a moment of serendipity, so many more hidden discoveries about past American plans for anime had been unearthed from the Library of Congress. Time and patience was all it took. Almost 2 years of investigating the backlogs of Renaissance Atlantic and the significance of the company. And after all these moments poured into my investigation, I can finally put the files of Renaissance Atlantic to rest and start anew on a different adventure. These proof of concepts, pilot pitches, and everything aside, it's crazy to think that in some universe, all these shows would have been the norm. And I'm grateful to have been able to get a glimpse of this, as it's been so eye-opening seeing the behind-the-scenes pipeline of pitching, selling, and localizing material to be introduced to the masses. As a person who is someday hoping to sell my own stories and create my own feature films, this explorative deep dive was also greatly enriching for my own journey as a young filmmaker, and I was happy to have had your support along the way. From Mean Girls DS to Clueless to Saban Moon to Guardians of the Cosmos and now Starstorm, I'd just like to say thank you for following me on this relentless quest. It's not only your support that drives me, but it's the thrill of the chase. I will not stop looking for things that intrigue me the most. I will not stop being curious about the past and lost relics. And I will only explore these things with a childlike wonder driving me with each step I take. And I will also make this ride as fun as possible through the power of storytelling and imagination. And in this never-ending hunt, if you've managed to feel the same thrill, excitement, suspense, and satisfaction on this journey as I have, then I know I've done my job at creating something meaningful that can resonate with people all over the world. And so, I eagerly await the next chapter of my journey, sharply anticipating the allure of a new mystery that will keep me perched upon the edge of my seat. Until then, I remain online, scouring the depths of the web for the next enchanting story waiting to be unveiled.